Mario, are you ready to begin with fungal diversity in thermal waters?
Yes, I'm ready. Thank you.
Perfect. Right, I will.
Yeah,
I can hear you fine.
Okay, perfect.
Great.
Hello.
I will hop out of the way.
Good afternoon to all.
Well, are you seeing my presentation?
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let us begin then to save some time. First and foremost, I would like to thank the organizing committee, especially to Professor Isabel Sá-Correia for the opportunity to participate in this special day. I'm going to talk to you about fungal diversity in thermal water. Water, source of life. Every one of us have already heard this expression before. However, most of us, not in the field, of course, not microbiologists, but in general most people still think of water as being sterile, at least in clean waters. However, as you can see in this slide, this is just a drop of water. So as you can see, lots and lots of life. You can find protozoa, algae, bacteria, viruses, fungi, and protozoa. In this particular case, what we are interested in is in fungi, of course. It is divided in two main groups, which is yeasts, as you can see in this slide. In this case, particularly, we are talking about Candida albicans in the image, which causes, as you probably know, vaginal candidiasis. And we have another major group of yeasts, which is Saccharomyces, which is also part of the mascots of the International Microorganism Day. So it's dedicated to that mascot. The other group is Filamentous fungi, also commonly known as molds, which are multicellular, opposite to the yeasts, which are unicellular. In this case, you have an Aspergillus formigatus, just to know. In this case, we have a biofilm. I was going to talk about biofilms a little bit, but the previous presentation has already did that, so I'll move forward. In here, it's just pure curiosity. You find a drinking water pipe. And as you can see, regarding biofilms, in the outside of the pipe, you find lots and lots of life. Bacteria, viruses, fungi. So this is just for you to know that really water is the source of life. Now, concerning fungi, there are a lot of health problems related to fungi, all documented in literature, as you can see some examples here. Mainly two types, respiratory problems and also skin and hair and nails problems, namely mycosis. So we think about thermal waters because of that, because in thermal waters we get a lot of contact, direct contact with water. So dermatophytes, which are fungi that grows on the skin, which need keratin, of course, to grow. It may be a problem, and also essentially through aerosol treatments concerning the other fungi that can cause respiratory problems. So we did a work that showed us the prevalence and diversity of fungal isolated from thermal waters. And just for curiosity, in the background of this slide, you have a Paeocylomyces delacinum, which is the fungi that we isolated the most out of this study. Well, how do we do this job? We collected directly from the springs, different springs around Portugal, and then we filtered the samples, 1 liter, and put in direct contact the membrane, in direct contact with the agar plates, both for dermatophytes and general fungi. We then did the identification through two methods. The first one through microscopy. In the background, you can see a fungal growth. It has radial growth, so the inside of the colony is always the oldest part of the colony. And we also did molecular methods such as PCR and also DNA sequencing to identify other fungi that we isolated. Concerning results, but again, a little bit of curiosity in the middle. What you see in the background is a penicillium, in this case Penicillium notatum, which is the most famous fungi of all, probably because it's the fungi that started the entire thing. It's the one that exudates the famous penicillin, which is found quite by accident by Alexander Fleming. Now the results. This is the prevalence that we found on thermal waters. As you can see, there is a big group concerning Purpureoscillium lilacinum or Paeacillomyces lilacinum, the pink one I showed you before, and also Fusariums, Penicilliums, Cladosporiums. All of them are isolated from soil. In this case, in the next slide, you see exactly the same species, but now an average of the plate forming units we found. I'm going to talk just really quickly about some of them, because the first one, as you can see, are penicilliums. The first one is a penicillium that causes rot in strawberries. The second one, like the name indicates, it causes rot in citrus fruits like oranges and lemons. And Cytospora is famous for being a plant pathogen, one of the most important plant pathogens. The next. Are you listening to me? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Exophialia, like I was telling you about, it's an important fish pathogen. As you can see, the one that had the most prevalence only appears in the 5th place, Purpureoscillium lilacinum, which is that it means it appears most, but in less quantities. Again, Botrytis cinerea is another fungi that causes rottenness in fruits. Small problem here. Okay, it's done. So as a conclusion, no dermatophytes were found. So the main problem regarding direct contact with water doesn't apply. We had a low number of isolates per sample. And like I mentioned before, all of the isolated species are originated from soil, which it makes sense because we were taking the samples from springs. So it makes lots of sense. And as I mentioned earlier, most of them are plant and fish pathogens. And the last but not least, mostly of these fungi, most of them can cause problems, mainly respiratory problems. However, only to people who have their immune system compromised. So they are mostly innocuous to immunocompetent persons. However, there are still a lot of research to do. So it's an ongoing investigation. So we hope to have more information in the future. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. I tried to be a little bit quicker to catch up some time. So
Thank you, Mario. So just to clarify, we just had Mário Freire talking about fungal diversity in thermal waters. Mario works in the analysis lab from Instituto Técnico.